than going live. If
I think. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with me again today is another passion warrior and one of the most well-known mountaineer and trekker who has done multiple mountaineering expedition world over, and she is a prolific writer. She is a very good nature lover. She has been an Indian Air Force officer, ex-retired officer, and whatnot. We will check up from her only that what all she has done in her life. And let me tell you that she started her career from a very humble background, and finally what she has achieved is one of the greatest thing as a lady officer, lady wife. And let me just ask her only that she is none other than the Toolika Rani, and she is really the Rani, the queen of mountaineering. And let me ask one question, that so many things, Toolika, you have done. You have been great mountaineer. You have been a prolific writer. You have been the nature lover. You have been a big conscious of your physical fitness. Let me tell you how you fit in the all personality in one. Could you just elaborate on that?
Thank you so much, sir, for having me here. And coming to your question, I would say that human beings have a lot of capabilities in them. And sometimes we just close ourselves into one frame. But if we really explore ourselves, we would find that we can do multiple things one after another. And that is what I have been trying to do. After one dream is accomplished, we must set another goal for ourselves, because movement is the name of life. So if that movement stops somewhere, then I suppose that progress stops. And that is what I have always believed. Once I joined Indian Air Force, one task was done. So I searched for another milestones to achieve, and then mountaineering came my way. After that, these things have continued, because whenever you have done something, it becomes a part of your life and it always remains with us. So these things are continuing with me even after I have retired from forces. Forces are one entity which never leave you alone. So you always remain a part of forces in some or other way, and that gives you your identity, as it has given me mine, you yours, and to multiple other officers and PBORs. After mountaineering, I thought, what's next? So writing came very naturally to me. Since childhood, I have been writing poems, articles, short stories. Recently, I have started writing short stories on hope. So, and another thing was public speaking, because as a child, I had discovered that I was always very comfortable on stage. It used to be like my second home. So public speaking is another thing that I have set out to do in my life now, again, after I have come out of forces. So these are some facets of my personalities that I'm still trying to explore and find out as to how much more I have within me. I suppose that is what everybody shall continue doing in their lives. I'm really inspired by people like you, sir, because at this age, you have started something new, you have launched this technology. All of us have this fear of new things, but you have learned it and you have started your channel. So that shows that you haven't stopped at something. And that is how life shall continue. Sir.
In fact, Toolika, I'm really fascinated the thing which you have used, and that is the truth, that success is not a one stop, one goal, that you stop there and reach there and the success. No, success is a journey. You achieve one milestone, thereafter another milestone, and then you continue. So absolutely right. Success is a journey. It is not the end of it. And that's what you are doing it. So you rightly summarized it, that what is the success like. So here is the question which I would like to ask on behalf of viewers is that you were a very brilliant student in your academics. You have been the merit holder in universities. You have been the NCC gold medalist. And you have very checkered your schooling and other thing. And if you wanted, you could have wonderfully very comfortable life in a corporate, and you must have chosen and enjoyed it. But you always wanted to be among the people who are energetic, who are fit, who are motivated, and that is why you chosen the defense. So let's know that how it came to your mind, and then how you started from one journey to thereafter.
So I would say that it came very naturally to me, because a river automatically flows towards the ocean. So if we have something within us, we would always seek it out in larger quantity. So I would say that all the ingredients that defense forces are made up of, I realized that those are present in me, and I wanted to explore them further, live amongst those ingredients in my life at a larger scale. And armed forces, in my opinion, provided me that platform, because leadership, team spirit, a lot of traveling, working with people from different backgrounds, and rising above the mundane small divisions that we have created in our society. That was one very great fascination for me. And it has come true. Even today, as a Fauji, I have imbibed these things in me, that we all are human beings. We are one unit and one team, and we shall not divide ourselves on these smaller planes of caste, religion, creed, place of origin, language, complexion, etc., etc. So that is why I suppose armed forces attracted me very much.
So here comes that, Toolika, you first went for that selection for the army, and then you couldn't make it in that. And finally, you did not give up. See, that is the beauty of a person who is the courageous. And you did not give up. And then you again tried it. And finally, you made it. So can you just throw some light on that?
That was when I was 19 years old, sir. And I had gone to Allahabad SSB for my army examination. I was recommended in my first attempt, and I was really sure at that time that I would make it to the academy. But things do not always go as per our planning. And I always feel that God has his own bigger and better plans than we have for our own lives. And whenever these failures come, or I wouldn't even call them failures, I would call them delays. So whenever these kind of roadblocks come in our life, they are for slowing us down a little bit, so that we can introspect and make ourselves better. So when I could not make it to the merit list for army, I thought that what is that I am lacking? Because I firmly believe that whenever we are not able to achieve something, we shall always look within. A lot of people has this tendency to blame external factors, but I don't believe in doing that, because external factors are there for everybody. How come some people have been able to do it and we have not been able to do it? So the fault always lies within us somewhere. And that is why I decided to introspect, look within, and make myself better. So in the next year itself, in 2004, I was selected for Indian Air Force in my first attempt. And that began a new chapter in my life.
So that is where lies the difference. You used a very important phrase that one should feel responsible for his own actions. You should not blame others. And that is the difference of thinking of a legendary person and the normal person. If you start taking responsibility for your success, your failures, and your decisions, then naturally you will find the way out to get up again and do the better. And another thing which you use, that failure is not the word which you wanted to use it. It is the delays. It is the blockers, success blocker for a time being. And this also the viewers should learn that they should not take failure as the end of the thing. They should take the failure forward. It is the one step toward the success. So failure is the step toward the success. And that is what Toolika Rani did, ladies and gentlemen, that she did not stop after having been unsuccessful at one of the SSB. In fact, Allahabad SSB is supposed to be the failure SSB, or it is rejection center, people call it. So no wonder that you couldn't make it. Despite that, you were an NCC gold medalist. You were a brilliant academic career, and in fact, thing happens. But you rightly said, and I think the universe also, whatever does universe, it does for the betterment, and that is what you have proved it. So then you went for another attempt, and you went for that another SSB, and where you gone for the Air Force selection. Tell us something about that as well.
I went to Dehradun SSB, sir, for Air Force examination. And it was really great to be there because, again, I could see a lot of people with different personalities. I have always loved to be amongst people from different backgrounds because human beings really fascinate me. They have a lot to teach us. They have different personalities, the different shades of their character and nature. I used to read in my childhood the novels written by Premchand. And Premchand does this exemplary analysis of human characters. So that used to be my favorite thing to do also. If somebody has said a particular line, where does it have its origin? Because whatever we speak has a root within us, within deep within our psyche. So that is why I just loved to be amongst all those people who were appearing alongside me for that SSB. And these were great 4 or 5 days over there, going through all the selection procedure, the GT, the ground tested, individual test. I would like to tell one thing here. There was an obstacle which I had to cross because there is this obstacle scattered around the ground, multiple obstacles. We have to do it in 3 minutes. So 10 or so obstacles. And there was one obstacle where I had to jump over, like I had to run and jump over a slanted piece of rock or something. So I came running, but halted because we do not have that momentum all of a sudden to jump over a very high obstacle. So I halted, but I did not leave it at that. I went back again, came running, gave a cry, and just jumped over it. So that kind of a thing I had always done in my life. Whenever I am a human being, as everybody else is, we do have fears. We do halt at certain times. But the only thing that we should not do is to give up. We can go back again, retreat, and come back again with immense force, even larger force, and just get over the obstacle, whatever obstacle it is. So perhaps in that SSB, that would have caught the eye of my selectors, that this girl is not going to give up. Even if she falls, she will get up, pick herself up again, and will come back with renewed force. So that was how my experience was there. I was uncertain because after being recommended first in army and not being able to make to the merit list, I was slightly nervous and uncertain whether I would be able to be through it, but I was. So I would say that it's okay to be apprehensive. It's okay to have self-doubts, but we have to give 100% and then leave whatever happens.
You are absolutely right, Toolika. What you said is that, say the fear is a natural phenomenon. Everybody experiences the fear, and fear is basically, it is false evidence appearing real. Because once you get over that, you always see that they were nothing. So it is a false evidence which appear to be real till the time you cross over it. So one should never bother about the fear, and that you overcome that, and finally you are there. And another thing which you said, that you stopped, gone back, and again took. So that is what everybody look for it, especially in the defense forces when they go through the SSB, and that is what they find out, that how courageous you are to overcome the fear and the point of crisis, a point of fear, and that is where you have shown it. Another thing which I came across, Toolika, that you have been an adventurous girl right from your beginning, whether it was in your college or maybe in your career, and that has been shown throughout. So you have chosen that adventure game once you joined the defense forces, and that is where your journey started as a mountaineer person. So now tell us about that, how the thing started and where you have gone further.
So I was always very close to nature. and I was always looking for opportunities to be amongst it. So when the signal came in my unit about the Air Force Mount Everest expedition, I was really thrilled. But I sat down and thought about it because it was such a huge task coming in front of me. Mount Everest is the highest, of course. And when you have not even started your journey in mountaineering, it seems to be a really huge mammoth task. So I sat down and asked myself whether I'm ready for it. Shall I volunteer? But I always have this tendency to go after the opportunities if they come my way. I would not like to sit back due to fear or apprehensions about my performance and regret it later. So I'm of that opinion that whenever any opportunity comes in front of us, we shall take it, respective of anything, whether we are capable at that particular moment or not, because we can always improve ourselves. We can work upon ourselves. That's the beauty of human beings, that they have the capability of improving. So just on the basis of your present capability, you should not let go of an opportunity. And that is what I did. I volunteered for it in 2009. It was supposed to be a 2 years training designed by the Directorate of Adventure Sports, Indian Air Force. And I was fortunate to be selected for this. And thereafter, I tried to give my best, because I would admit here that I was not a natural climber. And that would be a solace to a lot of people who are listening to us. They might not be very good at something in the beginning, but we shall not lose hope. And as I just said right now, that we have the capability for further improvement. And that is what I try to do in each of my expeditions and during the intervals between the expeditions. I worked really hard on my physical fitness. Along with physical fitness, I thought another important aspect is the mind. So body might have a limit. What pushes the body to extend its limits is our mind. So these twofold preparation I did for each of my expeditions, the physical fitness as well as the mental aptitude. And that is how I kept on going for all these 4 pre-Everest expeditions planned by Air Force. First was in Leh Ladakh, second was in Uttarakhand, third was Mount Kamet in Uttarakhand, fourth was in Ladakh, Mount Sasir Kangri, and the fifth expedition came to Mount Everest in 2011, the Indian Air Force expedition, of which I was also a part. But here, again, despite a lot of preparation on my part as well as on my team's part, 7 out of 20 members of our team were successful in scaling Mount Everest, while I could not make it to the top. I suppose this has been a pattern of my life, that in my first attempt, generally, I'm not able to go to the entire length. But I have always taken these moments as an opportunity to introspect and find out as to what is the block that is hindering my further progress. And
so we will speak about that journey of the first attempt. Before that, let me summarize that you were the only woman officer among that team of 20. Is it? Am I right?
No, sir. It was basically a team of women officers only, and
Okay.
there were many more. So yes, sir.
Okay. So finally, you did preparation. You did physical preparation. You did mental preparation. And what you rightly said, that I think it is the mindset which works 80%, and the 20% is the physical part. The mindset is more important than your physical part. And that is what you really summarized it, that if you have in mind, you didn't have any background of any climbing or anything, but you decided in your mind and you wanted to achieve that. So once I believe that you did initial preparation climbing very successfully, but when you went on the first expedition, you faced certain blockers on the way. Let's know something about that so that our viewers are much aware of that, and then we'll see the further journey.
So on my first Mount Everest expedition in 2011 with my team of 20, and the team consisted of some women officers as well as the support members, which were male. So all of us were really fit, and we had been trained on 4 Himalayan peaks over the period of 2 years. We had gone to Siachen Glacier twice. We had been trained under trained coaches. So that was the level of fitness. But I was more than halfway up on Mount Everest. And from there, I had to decide to retreat because at that particular moment, my fingers had become numb. I tried to warm them up, did everything that came to my mind. But the situation was such that if I continued, I thought at that time that perhaps there was a danger of amputation, frostbite, leading to amputation of my fingers. Also, it would have put in risk other team members, and their attempts also for summit would have been jeopardized because of me, because somebody had to come back down with me if something really happened to me. So I decided to come back from there. Obviously that dream got shattered, because we can understand when we have been preparing day and night for 2 years for something, and it is nothing less than Mount Everest. Everybody has huge expectations from us, and we decide to come back without attaining it. It was really hard, not only in terms of failure to attain that one goal, but on psychological level, emotional level. The self-esteem really took a hard hit, because as a military officer, you do not think that you would fail somewhere. As a sports person who was really fit, you do not go prepared for a failure. So that, I suppose, was the point which changed my life for better, because I again looked in. These moments in my life have occurred again and again, thankfully, I would say. At that particular moment, I'm really sad and upset, and it is painful. It hurts a lot. People's
Uh,
reaction might be something, but
yeah,
I'm in introspect. I think retrospection tells me that it has always been for something better. So
you are right. You said that because your family, your friends, your colleagues had a lot of expectation from you, and out of self-respect or self-esteem, you were really heartbroken and the shattered because of this. But the another thing which I heard and read somewhere or listened to your some interview something, wherein you said that when you went for the interview to the Doordarshan, and that is where you were came across a one statement by the person who was conducting the interview there, the summiteers all, only summiteers please. And that is where you got the realization of your life. And that made you the what you are today, that realization. So the way you took the whole, this setback in a positive way, that shows the killing instinct of a warrior, rather a killing instinct. And that you showed your mettle. Tell us
thank you.
about that incident, that summiteers, please.
So that, what happened was that our team was successful. The Indian Air Force team had really a huge success, because 7 of the team members had been able to climb successfully. So we came back as a victorious team, and naturally there were celebrations and interviews forthcoming. So this was an interview on Doordarshan. All of us were taken to their studio, and a little bit of makeup and everything was done, the dressing up before going onto the camera. And after we reached onto the stage, so there we realized that the chairs are lesser than the number of people standing on the stage. And so we all stood, we were all a team, and we stood there as a team until that moment. When this interviewer came and he said, "Only summiteers, please, on the stage." At that moment, it was a stark realization that now onwards, there are 2 categories in our team. One is of summiteers, and another one, whatever we may call them, losers, non-summiteers, or whoever. But there is this clear distinction. So I, along with 2 of my other teammates, stepped down from the stage, and we had to retreat to a corner, sitting there all the time while the interview was going on, listening to our team's stories, of which we had been very much a part of. So it was a very mixed kind of a feeling, because we were really happy for our team. It was a together thing that we had done, and we had celebrated their success as our success. But there we sat alone, 3 of us in a corner, and some of us sat on the stage in the limelight. So it was mixed emotions. But I realized that uh, in order to have our own self-esteem, we must be successful individually also, because only if we explore all our potential and utilize it to the fullest, we would also be able to contribute much to our team as well as society, nation, and if we expand it further to the entire humanity. And that's when I realized that working individually upon ourselves is also very important.
So the point which you brought out very important is that for the people or for the others who are the family members or the colleagues or the friends, what matters is the only the success. What kind of hard work you have put in, nobody cares for it in the life. It is the end result which everybody is looking for. And that realization, you got it there by this one incident, and you decided, you determined, got more determined, more grit that you have to do this. And I believe that your mother was instrumental in giving you that kind of learning, that you either you are the winner or you are not. Sure. And I believe your mother played a very important role in taking that decision. Can we know something that?
Sure. There would always be different sorts of reactions whenever we do something, sir. Be it success or be it failure, whatever we do to our action, there would be multiple kinds of reactions. So that is what I faced. There were people who were sarcastic, but their number was really low. In my case, I was blessed. There were a few people, but there were many who were dejected about me not having attained that goal, because somewhere they had faith in me. And this is what hurt me the most. There were a lot of my friends, my colleagues who were working my share also while I was on the expeditions, pre-training. While I used to work out, they used to encourage me a lot. And of course, the family, they were a part of my journey, all these 2 years journey. So they were hurt, they were pained for me. And my mother specifically is very close to me. So she knows me inside out. And she knows my weaknesses also. I'm really blessed that she never minces her words when it comes to pointing out my blockages. She's one person who has been instrumental in my progress, because other people may sympathize with me when I fail. They perhaps can give me some consolation, but we all need that one person who would tell us what really went wrong. And my mother did that, because she pointed out that somewhere I was afraid of continuing. I was afraid of injury. It is not here to advocate foolishness, because there is a thin line between being courageous and being foolish. And we have to explore it. It is up to the individual to decide. But still, we can, I suppose, look within and find out what are our limits, to what extent we could have stretched them. Was it really the external factors that stopped us? Or was there a grain of fear, apprehension, weakness, lack of preparation within us? So if we find 1% those ingredients, we must work upon them.
I think you found that, you analyzed yourself and you found that, and you got on to the journey of second attempt. And during that attempt, you broken all the barriers to the extent of that you were called as a crazy woman. So let's know about that crazy woman. And you are a crazy woman.
What happened, what I still remember, and it came from one of my instructors who I really hold in high esteem. He himself is an adventurer. So one day what happened was, I was doing a service course, because we all have to do these courses for promotion. So I was undergoing a course along with my course mates in Coimbatore. And the course used to be from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 in the evening. And there was a lot of studies going on. The physical activities were a part of it. So, and we had to undertake examinations every Friday. So it was a lot of things to do together in the course. What I would do after those 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., the course material is over. After 6 p.m., it used to be my training time. So while all of my course mates would leave the sports ground, which was a part of the official training, till then 4 to 6 official ODT, the outdoor training. Once it is over, I would start my individual training. So everybody else would depart. I would continue on the sports field in the dark till 9 or 10 o'clock in the night. One day I just stepped upon a stone while running in the dark, and my ankle got swollen. So whenever an injury happens to me, I never get panicked. I'm very cool and calm, and I try to look for ways to now prevent the further damage and do whatever I can do in that situation. So I went to the officer's bar and asked the waiter to give me some ice and a towel, and I applied on my ankle. That's when, before this, my instructor had seen me doing chin ups in the dark, alone on that sports field. So he just passed by and said, "Crazy woman." Because I was the lone figure working in the dark at that particular moment. And then he came to the bar and he found me sitting over there with my swollen ankle, applying ice on it very coolly, calmly. And he again said, "Crazy woman." It was in a positive sense, but I still remember that how it was.
But I think there was another incident where you had a very small track for making you practice, and then you used to run 20 kilometers every alternate day. And that 20 kilometers you used to do it on the 200-meter track, where means you have to do 100 rounds. And to an extent that you carried those 3 kg weight in your ankles, and then you did parties with that, you did officer mass, you went to the office, you went to sleep, you went to walk. Means what is the kind of experience you had? Just let us know, our viewers.
So I was trying to simulate the circumstances that I would encounter on Mount Everest. Though being in plains, we cannot simulate them to any extent. But whatever I could do to prepare myself with those conditions, I was trying to do on the plains also. Because performance does not come overnight. For that kind of a performance on that particular day, we have to prepare for a long duration. And that training period for me was 3 years total for Everest. But I had multiplied my efforts when I had failed in 2011. So that is when I started. Even before that, I had started wearing these 3 kgs weight. Why I did that was because while we climb, the climbing boots, each boot weighs 1.5 kgs. And that's why I wore 3 kgs each weight in my ankles to simulate that kind of a similar situation where I would be walking, climbing in snow with 1.5 kg weight on my each foot. So that's what I was trying to do. Another, as you talked about the small track, yes, it happened that we had only a small track of 200 meters. And since I had intensified my training, I used to do 20 kilometers endurance run alternate day. So I decided that, okay, if there is no further resource available with me, I have to make the best of available resources. And that's where all of us, suppose sometimes we start blaming the lack of resources in our lives. But if we open our eyes, we would find there are empty number of resources. We can create them, and whatever we have, we can do our best with that also. So that's how I used to run with that again in night, sometimes at 9 o'clock in the night or 10 o'clock, even after that. And one incident I would like to share here, that was in Jamnagar, Gujarat. And it was really funny. I used to climb the water tank. Like there was no, in Jamnagar, it is just plain sea level. I had nowhere to climb. And I had to climb because for climbing, what I need to do in my practice session is to do climbing actually. And I did not find anything but a water tank behind the officer's mess. So every morning or so, I used to go wearing my shorts and having my rucksack. Plus, in that rucksack, I used to put water bottles or sand or bricks. So to have something for the weight. And I would have those anklets, again, ankle weights on my ankles. And I was climbing continuously on that water tank stairs. So this person who used to take care of it came, and he started looking up at me as to what is this girl up to? Is she going to jump from there, or what is actually happening? Then some children came and they also started shouting, hello, what are you doing, kind of thing. So some dogs also came and they started barking down below. So that was really a funny scene. And I said, कुछ नहीं हुआ है, कसरत कर रहे हैं. So I tried to pacify him, कसरत कर रहे हैं, so that he understands that she's not going to do some kind of suicide or some silly thing. She's just working out there.
One of the very important trait of successful people, Toolika, which you rightly brought out, is the resourcefulness. See, if you want to achieve something or you want to do something in life, there is no dearth of resources. Only thing you have to apply your mind and find the resources. 100% resources are never available. It is only you have to be resourceful. You have to find the resources. And that is what you did. Where 200-meter track, you ran 100 rounds. Where there were no climbing, you made use of that water tank. What not means that is where the true determination, the killing instinct, the grit, whatever you call commitment to your friends and family, to yourself, you have proved everything. So
commitment to the task, basically. So I would also like to bring out one thing here. Sometimes we are very apprehensive of others' reactions. When we are in the preparation phase, we think, what will people say? If I go running in the morning, what will my neighbors say? What is this girl doing? I have never bothered with these kind of things. Whatever I'm doing, if it is not harming anybody, I have a perfect right to do it, even if nobody does it. So I don't go by this lack of precedence that generally people don't do this. Why should I do it? People are going to laugh or look at me in a very different manner. That has never bothered me. Even what I used to do was, whenever I was traveling in a train, and if the train stopped at some platform for half an hour, rather than continuously sitting inside the coach, if there were stairs on the railway platform, I would go and continuously climb stairs for that half an hour. So that kind of a thing, I suppose, whatever we can do, we have to totally committed towards our goal. Each moment we shall work towards it.
So wonderful that you made use of even the stairs on the platforms for those 20 minutes or 15 minutes the train stop. Really inspiring, Toolika. What should I say? That lot of learning. So another important thing which you brought out is that other than the resourcefulness, that your commitment, and finally you embarked upon the next journey for your climbing to the mountain Everest. Okay. And that is also, I believe, is a very interesting part of it. And this was the preparation part for the second attempts. So let's know that how that second journey started and what all you faced as a challenges and finally overcome.
When I went there, the first challenge was that this time I was missing my team. So earlier there used to be an experienced leader who could take decision on our behalf. This time I was to take my own decisions. And I would say that this was my first expedition individually, because before this, I had gone on 5 expeditions as a part of the Indian Air Force team. There were always more experienced people than us. But this time it was Mount Everest, and I was first time alone on my own. And I was responsible for all the decisions that I would take. So that was one thing. Another was weather-wise, and all these things happen on every expedition. So it happened here too. While I was climbing, the most interesting part was that I fell sick again on the same ice wall, the Lhotse wall, above 22,000 feet. And this was kind of a test for me, because last time it had defeated me. Again, this time it became very formidable on my path, and I was feeling mountain sickness, had to come down. So my body was swollen up basically. And there was this night when I was sitting holding my chest in severe ache, and I thought that perhaps this would be the end of it. But I thought, no, this cannot be the end of it. Even if all the circumstances appear against me, it cannot be the end. And whenever I have realized in my life that whenever we have this conviction within our heart that no, this is not the end, we find that the journey continues, because we continue on that path. If we come out of the circle, we are over. That destination is not going to come to us. But the beautiful part in life is, till the time we continue to decide, we decide to continue on this, the game is never over. The journey is continuing. So I thought that no, this cannot end just like this.
I
So
remember, listening one place, Tulika, which is very important thing which you did during your practice time, because the moment you were anticipating this moment, what you are talking now, you were anticipating this moment, and you were visualizing, you imagining that what all difficulties will come. You were imagining while practicing that in the plains, while practicing for the climbing, you were imagining that as if you are climbing the mountain Everest. Also, you were visualizing, or rather, you were talking to the mountain Everest that yes, you want to give me injury, give me, but I will not stop. I will continue. And that is where makes you different. And that is what you applied when this happened. So let's continue with that experience.
visualization is very important. While preparation, we must prepare for exigencies because unforeseen situations in every task are bound to come. We may not visualize everything that can go wrong, but as military training also teaches us that we prepare for emergencies. So if something wrong happens, how are we going to react? And that is why I trained my mind that if everything is going smooth and fine, yes, I'm physically prepared to continue climbing. But what if the weather goes wrong? What if something wrong happens? Then am I prepared to give it a good fight? So that's how I trained my mind to not give up when I get tired, to not give up when things go wrong completely. I have to keep my hope alive. And that is why I prepared my mind better than my body this time. And when I was faced with this situation of this chest ache, it was a night of battle between the mind and the body. So this battle, ultimately, the mind won. Because in the morning, it was kind of a miracle that in the morning, when I went to a doctor, he checked all my vital parameters and everything came perfectly fine. The ache was there slightly, but it also went in 3 or 4 days. I started eating like anything because I told myself that I need to be prepared for it. So I used to eat a lot. The entire focus was on recovery, and I did recover. After that, I felt so full of strength and energy that I just kept on climbing the way I had never climbed in my life. So that kind of an energy was there because I had won a battle against myself. A lot of us can win this battle, sir. This pandemic had showed us this. So I was really exhilarated to receive a call from somebody from Rotary who had happened to attend one of my talks a few days back. He gave me a call, and it was such a humbling moment for me because he said, Ma'am, I had heard your talk perhaps a month back or so. You would wonder why I'm calling you now to thank you. And he said, I had heard about this victory of mind over body in your talk. My entire family got COVID positive. I told them and I told myself that our bodies will do what our mind says. And that is how we were able to come out of this drastic situation in our lives. So for me, see, I had done nothing in their recovery. The only thing that I had given them was hope that their minds are more powerful than their bodies. So that's what I have been doing in my life also, sir.
In fact, it is 100% truth, Toolika, that it is the 80% of the mind which plays a role in the success. It's only the 20% are the skills. And what you really said that you got over that sickness or whatever problem you had, you came down and you win over your mind. That switch which was there in your mind, you turned it on and you said that body is okay. So body does whatever mind says. I just tell you that the incident in our academy, when we used to go for that cross-country run, so some people used to stop, okay, and they used to tell that our company commander that, sir, we get tired, that's why we stop. So he used to tell, whenever your mind says that stop, you tell that mind, shut up, I am okay, I am going.
Yes.
And if you say these words, let me tell you, you will continue going. And that is where that visualization and imagination or your toughness of the mind comes.
Sometimes we make vast of our small injuries or our small sicknesses, sir. So it might not be a major ailment, but because we think that now we are sick, and it exaggerates. What happened during my training time, because you were saying, so I got reminded of it. I had only reported sick once in my entire 1 year of training. And at that time, my ankle was really hurting. So I went to the doctor, but there was a cross country, 10 kilometers run as we have it. So my seniors had advised me to go see the doctor and get excused from that particular run. So the doctor asked me, uh, how are you? I said, sir, the ankle hurts a bit. Can you run? I said, yes, sir, the ankle hurts a bit, but I can run. So he said, go. He did not give me anything. He said, go. Because I just spoke the truth. Yes, I was in pain, but I
Yes.
could still run. So
Yes.
I ran all that cross country, though my seniors really knew that this girl is not making excuses. I was trying to run, limping, and but still running. So somebody came from behind and said, you can walk. So she gave me an excuse. But the power of mind is that even if there is something wrong, how do we perceive ourselves? Do we think that no, we cannot go any further because we are tired, or this wrong had happened to me? Or do we think, yes, we accept that there is something wrong, but we can still go on?
Tulika, another thing which I heard about you, that when you were just, I think, 3,000 feet short of the summit, you had again the setback of, means you were on the crisis point. The
Yes.
crisis basically is the point where you have to make a decision, whether you have to go back or go forward. Tell me about that point, that how you got over your, again, that limiting belief, and you finally submitted it.
This was the last climb, sir. So I would say that the last climb is always the hardest, because
Yes.
we had already put in a lot in that effort. Whatever we are doing in life, perhaps it is writing a book or creating a song, whatever it is. But because we have already worked so hard upon it, we are on the verge of now giving up. Our bodies are tired, exhausted, and everything. If something wrong happens, then it requires much more efforts to continue. So just the last night of climb, just 3,000 feet between me and the summit. And of course, it is not that one day, it is the culmination approaching of these last 3 years. Every moment of it, I have just prepared towards this particular moment of this night. And when this night arrives, what happens is that I started feeling cold in my foot. Now we can imagine that we were climbing above 26,000 feet in the dark night. And this particular portion on Mount Everest is called death zone. So these were the conditions between life and death. Wind is really high and temperatures are plunging down to perhaps 30 degrees Celsius or so. In that condition, I know that I have just started climbing and my foot is feeling cold. Again, it is the same situation. I'm even in a dire situation because now I'm in the death zone, much higher altitude than I was earlier in my previous attempt. So now that means I am in the grave danger of having frostbite for sure, because I have to climb the entire night. I do not know how long the climb would be because I have not seen it. It is really difficult. And I have to come back down also. So basically, it was uncertainty. If I continue, I was risking my life as well as my limb. So, as said, that risk is pertaining, but now with this cold feeling in my foot, I was certain that there is something wrong has started happening. So, at that moment, I decided to continue because I thought that for last 1 year, between my failed attempt and this night, I have lived constantly in guilt. And I do not want to live with this guilt my rest of the life. So that's why I would risk my life perhaps and go for my self esteem, go for my self confidence. And that's why I decided to continue. Though I took all precautions that I could have taken. Thank you. And because whatever risk we are taking, somewhere we have to calculate it. What are we going to risk? It was my life at that moment and my limb. But I thought that perhaps my self-esteem is much more than my life and limb. Though I was feeling fine, perfectly fine. Apart from that, there is a limit as to what you can extend and you cannot extend. So that is totally up to the individual. I thought at that particular moment to continue, and I continued. So the pain was really excruciating. I would say I had never in my life experienced that much pain, but I continued, because somewhere we have to learn to endure this pain if we want to achieve something transcendental. If we have to go for something which is really big, that much effort we have to put in, that much sacrifice and endurance we have to have. If we are not investing to that extent, how are we desiring ourselves to get that huge amount in the output? So the entire night passed. I do not know whether this pain stopped or my cells became numbed or whatever happened. I just continued. In between, there was no time to think, because on the way there were these dead bodies of the climbers. Uh, and it is a reality on Mount Everest. It is a very sombering kind of a moment, because we know that these people were alive a few days back, and we could be one of them while returning. It is death zone that we are walking into. But at that moment, if I remember, it was purely mind. While I had climbed the entire night, the morning came and I could see that, okay, perhaps now there is suddenly light. And I realized now it is morning, because time had somehow stopped for me. The only thing that mattered was taking the next step. When we are in the pursuit of something, I suppose this is what shall happen to us. That time, space, anything, everything stops mattering. The only thing that we are focused is the next step. So I realized it is morning and the summit was visible right in front. And the situation was that I had not slept the entire night. I had rather been climbing with all that weight, all that paraphernalia, the special equipment, the oxygen on my back. So the body was really exhausted. And I remember that I had to tell myself to move, then take the next step. And I was literally muttering this: move, and I would take the next step, move, and I would take the next step. So it was again the victory of mind over body that it pushed me towards the summit, because I just could not give up. So I came back down and I could climb successfully. Really grateful for that. And I came back down. So
Very humbling experience, Tulika, and it gives the goosebump when you are describing this. And what you really said is that there is no gain unless there is pain. So there is no gain without the pain, and which you born it, and thereafter you got the gain. And I recall the reading somewhere that once you were on the top and you were so excited, so thrilled when somebody asked you that, how do you feel it? You said that you have a view of 360 degree. Can you just give a little glimpse that what was the feeling once you were on the top of that mountain?
the first feeling, so I do not remember that much excitement, as much relief I remember, because the entire night of that gruesome climb in excruciating pain, when I realized that there is no more distance to be covered, I was really relieved. So first thing was this relief, immense wave of relief. Second was gratitude. So it
Yeah.
was a gratitude to God, because when we see death so close, we realize that it is only God by whose wish we are still alive. So I expressed that gratitude to God. When my Sherpa asked me, how do you feel, Ms. Tulika, you are standing on Mount Everest? My first sentence was, I couldn't have done it without you, because I did not feel that I did it alone. Nobody does anything alone in this world. There are so many people who contribute in our success in multiple ways, small and big. And my Sherpa had been with me all throughout these 2 months. So I owed it a lot to him also. And that was my first sentence up there. So I asked him to take a 360-degree view, because as a record, we must have it. There are people who sometimes do unscrupulous things also. But so I wanted to have one thing for memory. I wanted to have this view as to how it feels from standing on Mount Everest. Second, I wanted to have it as a proof that yes, I have made the summit. So that's why I asked him to do this recording of 360 degrees.
Wonderful, Toolika, wonderful. See, you brought out so many lessons for the viewers, for me as well, that once you reached on the top, it is the gratitude. And let me tell you what you said is, in our success, the multiple people are the part of that success. They are the one who made us where we are today. And I know that somewhere you have also said that when it is a failure, then you are the only responsible, so that you find the ways and means to overcome those failures. But when it comes to success, then there are multiple people who help you, and that is the gratitude. And this is the immense qualities of a successful people, that they owe their success to the multiple people, and they are grateful to them. And that is where they keep growing, growing, growing. Wonderful, Toolika. I think awesome to listen these words of wisdom from you. And your Sherpa must be very thankful having such kind of disciple with him. And so finally, I think you came down, and then how the things started. Let's know about that as well.
So when I came back down, it was like my toes were already frostbitten, sir. So the descent was really painful, because when we are descending on a steep altitude gradient, it is like when on each step, our toes hit our shoes. So my toes were already in bad condition, and they were each moment hitting my shoes. So it was really painful. And on base camp, I realized that there was blood coming out of it. The toes had been swollen, and there was this blisters on my toes. Somebody by mistake stepped upon one of the blister, and everything came out of it. So it was really painful and in a bad condition. I came down further and was admitted in a hospital for 3 months. So there again, people advised me that now you should stop climbing. So it is very interesting to see people's reactions. So I do not take it personally, sir. I take it as an insight into human beings. Different people react differently on same situation. So that is a reflection of them, not us. And that is why it does not affect me. I rather take it as an observation. And there were people who asked me, oh, did you require gloves on Mount Everest? So it is not their fault. Perhaps they have not been exposed to these circumstances. Then there were people who said, very good, you went to Everest, so it has given you a little exposure now. And I was like, fine. And then there were people, the doctor, of course, were really apprehensive about my toes. So they would say, rather the deputy commandant himself would come on the round at 8:30 in the morning, and he would look at my toes really bad, and he would say, they would be amputated. Save nahi ho payenge. They could not be saved like this. And I would think, let's see what happens. So the good thing used to be that while he came at 8:30, I would have already walked for 1 or 2 hours in the hospital premises. I couldn't put my toes down, but I could put my heels down. So there is always a way. Whatever little we have with us, we can utilize that. So that's what I used to do. I thought that I'm going to be fit and running very soon and climbing very soon. And that's what I did. I used to dream of running barefoot on water. So, and my toes recovered in 2 years. It took me 2 years, bandaging them every day, but I started climbing just 4 months after my injury. 3 months I was in the hospital, so I couldn't go anywhere to climb. 1 month after coming out of the hospital, I was back in the mountains doing my travels.
And that is despite against the advice of the doctors. And that shows your commitment towards your passion. That shows your determination and the grit toward the passion. The doctor said, please don't do because your toes are not in the shape. And you still got over that belief or the limiting belief or that disability. And finally, you were running and you were climbing. Wonderful.
Medical science is limited, sir.
Yes.
I mean, human beings are much more than that.
Absolutely.
So medical science is still exploring what all we have in our minds, in our bodies, because there are new discoveries of even new organs within us. Somewhere these membranes come out. And I recently read there was this new organ found in human body. So medical science knows only that much. We are much more than that, and that is what I have been trying to explore all my life.
In fact, human body itself is such a wonderful machine that it heals up automatically. Means if natural way, if you go, the 99% it can heal up itself. Doesn't need anybody's care, provided you are taking care of your body. Means
And
you are not.
I also believe one thing, that thoughts have a very powerful impact on whatever happens to us, be it physical front, be it our professional or personal life. Whatever we tell ourselves each day, I have realized that one day it becomes a reality.
It's not a realization, Toolika. It is a fact that your thoughts get into the feelings, feelings get into the emotions, emotions get into your actions, and actions get into the result, and that result again get into the thoughts. So this cycle is very vicious cycle. So if your thoughts are positive, naturally your outcome will be positive. If thoughts are negative, then your outcome will be negative. So everything starts from this mind and your thoughts, whether it is a positive outcome or whether it is a negative outcome. And that is where your imagination, visualization, and everything comes into the play. So if you are thinking that and if you are visualizing that, it happens, it manifests. And it is a truth, it is psychological, it is a science by itself. It's a science by itself. So there is nothing which needs to be proved. It is absolutely true what you are saying. There is no doubt denying that fact. And thereafter you go on climbing even the, I think that highest volcano in Asia, that Iran.
Yes, sir. So that opportunity came in 2015 and I volunteered for it. So I applied for leave and I was fortunate to be able to climb that mountain also. So yes, that happened. So,
you have climbed in, I think, US, Iran, Nepal, Bhutan, all these places, climbing this all peaks everywhere. How is the experience?
US hasn't happened yet, sir. I have climbed in Bhutan, Nepal, Russia, Africa, and Iran.
Iran. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
So these places, mountaineering, of course, has its charm, and every mountain is a new beginning. So, however much, even if I have climbed Mount Everest, if I go tomorrow to climb a new Everest, it is again the same feeling. I always feel whether I'm prepared to do this, because a mountain is a mountain and anything can happen over there. The possibility of anything going wrong is still there. My body, of course, has its limitations. So, it would be again a journey of pushing my limits and this journey of self discovery, which I have started enjoying now. So, yes, the strength comes from the knowledge that I have already done it. So, again, I can do it. This is not my first time, but that excitement is always there. That uncertainty is going to be there. And that is a thrill of it. So, every mountain is a journey within myself of self discovery as to what all I can do now. How do I react? Have I learned over the past years to overcome my fears and to stretch my limits? Every time I find that, yes, to a certain extent, I have learned, but there is still scope for improvement. And that's how the life continues. In addition to mountaineering, I'm also fond of exploring different cultures, as I told. So in all these places, like when I was going to Iran, people warned me that you should not go to Iran because of the state religion and a lot of things, rumors are there. Certain truth is there, certain rumors, but I still, because it was an opportunity, I thought death is destined. So wherever I am supposed to die, I would die. There is no point leaving an opportunity. I would not leave an opportunity at any cost. That is why I went ahead with it. And to my pleasant surprise, I found that people were really welcoming. They became my lifelong friends. I'm still in touch with them 5 or 6 years later. And it was a wonderful experience. In fact, when I was coming back from there were tears in my eyes because the Persian civilization is very ancient. And I'm a student of history. I know that India and Iran had cultural ties. We have a lot in common. The culture, the language has many common words. Even the Rig Veda and the Jain Avesta of Iran has many similar words. So these people used to sing Bollywood songs. So it was like very, very warm and friendly.
Certainly, certainly. So, what a vast experience of getting into so many cultures and doing what you love in all these different countries. Uh, no denying the fact that you had immense experience and exposure to these places. Another thing that when you said that you are the student of history, but at the same time you have been the instructor also, as a teacher also of that your own Air Force fraternity, and what most could be the prize possession of that, teaching those three first fighter women, and you have done that. So just a little bit about that also. That must be a very proud feeling of teaching or training those ladies who are the first female fighters of Indian Air Force.
They have done proud to the nation, the organization, and to their parents and families and communities. And I also feel very proud of them. However, I would like to say that all my cadets were really equal and special to me because I joined Indian Air Force Academy, Air Force Academy in Hyderabad in September 2013. I was blessed to be posted there. I'm really grateful to the Air Headquarters for considering me worthy of being an instructor, the outdoor training instructor in the very alma mater from where all the officers of Indian Air Force are trained. So when I went there, it was a totally new experience for me because before that, I had been into air traffic controlling. My branch was administration, sub branch ATC. And now here, a lot of cadets were standing in front of me, and I was supposed to be the role model. Plus, I had to control them and uh, teach them the ethos of the forces. Also, with their physical transformation, we had the responsibility of transforming them mentally from just boys and girls into soldiers. Now, that is a very responsible position to be a soldier because the responsibility of a nation is upon them now. So, this task really enthralled me. And again, it provided me the opportunity to work with people. So, I had this innate tendency to observe people, find out as to what blocks their progress, what strengths they have. I believe that human beings have strengths as well as weaknesses. We have to encourage them to consolidate upon their strengths, and weaknesses will automatically be down there. So I used to run with my cadets. So when I went over there for the first day, I still had those frostbitten toes. They had not recovered. So I used to wear my sports shoes beneath my uniform because doctors had advised me that. And I went on the sports field, and the first day itself, I ran with my cadets, did all the exercises that they were doing because that was my daily routine. And I loved it because till now, I had been running alone for all these years. Now I had hundreds and hundreds of companions to run with me, young people, energetic, dynamic, and you could mold them. So that was an experience which transformed me also. It made me more responsible because we had the responsibility of molding these young people. And I remember, sir, when they used to come as straight out of college, or some people had worked in corporates, they had a different kind of a mindset and culture on the very first day when they stood in front of us. But to see their transformation 6 months later, then 1 year later into officers, disciplined, erect body posture, and they had been amalgamated from individual units into one team, that was very, very rewarding to see. These three lady cadets who became the first Indian female fighter pilots. I'm really very proud of them also. They did very well in the academy, and no doubt that they have created history in our country. Really very proud of them. They have broken a glass ceiling. Also, very grateful to the Indian Air Force that they have opened these new vistas for women officers. So it was really a rewarding experience, I would say. Even now, my cadets who have become officers come to meet me, and I feel very blessed that I have earned the only thing that a person shall strive to earn, that is respect.
Very true, very true. And Tulika, how I can resonate this, because I have also been instructor way back in 1992 to 1994 in Military College of Telecom Engineers in Mau. And there I was interested by my that time faculty commander to train the cross country team. I was good at that running, and so I trained them. And first time in the history of Military College of Telecommunication Engineering, that SODE, the engineering graduates officers, defeated the young officers big. That is the young officer, YOs. That was the history of that. So I can resonate with that when you said that leading the team and having their respect is an immense feeling, and which you are carrying it so wonderful. I can recollect that. Finally, the one question which is very inspiring for me, despite all this adventurous thing which you have been doing throughout your life, but your heart lies in the nature as well. Your heart lies in the ecology of the system. Your heart lies in the unity in the diversity is a reality. So you have done so much, or you have spoken so much about that. It really impressed me. I would like to tell viewers that she has given such a talks. If you listen to that, you will get inspired. The wonderful talks about that, how the humanity should remain, how you can take care of the nature, and how we can take care of each other instead of conflict among ourselves, rather than we should be one world or one home among all the universe. And that is what she has been teaching him. So one last question I will talk about from your talk is that you have mentioned something about the Einstein formula, E is equal to mc square. The energy, it's the entire universe is energy, and which is neither it get less nor it get more. It is a constant. Okay. So you have propagated that in that why do we have a negative energy? We should do something where we increase the positive energy. We enhance that positive component of that, because that positive negative altogether will always remain the constant. So why should not we have the positive component more than the negative, so that this planet Earth remains beautiful? And that is what you have propagated. And that's a wonderful thought, which you have connected with the physics to the nature. Let's hear from you.
I always believe that nature has all the lessons that human beings need to learn. We do not need to go anywhere for counseling, anywhere for motivation, inspiration. If we just look around and observe, we open our hearts and let these lessons of nature seep within us. Because even if we look at trees, trees go through so many phases as a human being goes. So I sometimes stand beneath my mango tree. In all the weathers, I stand beneath it and I look at it very closely. Sometimes it is so full of leaves, and these right now there are so many fruits coming on it. But there would be time when all the leaves fall and it is not as green as it is today, but it does not complain. It keeps on moving its life. It keeps on going in the hope that yes, tomorrow would be a better day. And that is what I have imbibed from it. In all the times when I feel sad, because those moments would definitely come. All of us would feel dejected, sad, rejected somewhere, and broken. But just go out to nature, have at least one plant in your house, and observe its progress. It is going through the same phases that you are going through. So, nature is your companion. I realized in my childhood itself that nature would be my biggest companion, one of my companions, along with God and me, myself. These three will never leave you. So, nature would tell us what to do. Whenever I look for a direction in my life, I just do one thing: go somewhere, stand beside a tree or a plant, look at it, talk to it, and come back and sit down and talk to myself. I get my answers. My path might be unconventional, and it might not fit into people's perspective of wealth, money, power, and position. But does it make me content? Does it make me feel alive? And that is what I live for this feeling of feeling alive. And that's what is more important. This is what we are missing as a human race. We are into a materialistic race, which does not take us anywhere. We live whole our life frustrated, discontented, but for what? So, this is a question that I would like to leave the viewers with. But for what?
So basically the ultimate aim is the feeling of fulfillment, feeling of impacting others' life, feeling of giving something to the nature on the universe. Okay, and that with that thought, Toolika, I must congratulate and I must appreciate, or I must thank you, whatever wisdom you have shared with us, with the viewers, and so wonderful that I hope the viewers will find it really rewarding and enriching in their life. Toolika, thank you so much being with us and answering all the questions so beautifully with so much of smile on your face and without no hesitation, making yourself absolutely transparent. I'm really thankful to have you here on this show. So thank you very much, Toolika. And I am just